In the coming year, I think what we really need to focus on is creating jobs and making our region stronger, offering opportunities for businesses and families, and helping those hardworking individuals to succeed in the long run. First of all, we need to look at the businesses that are here, and how can we make those businesses stronger and help them to grow. That's what we have right now in front of us, is how do we help those businesses that are right here. Help them to diversify our regional economy. And we have to take, I think, action to address our national debt. It's something I was concerned about when I ran. I'm still very concerned about it now. And as I said, voting for the stimulus bill was a very difficult vote, but going back to my previous statements, I felt it was necessary. But I am part of the Blue Dog Coalition in the Democratic caucus. We are the fiscally conservative Democrats in the House and in the Senate. With my colleagues in the Blue Dog Caucus, we have two priorities. One of them is pay-go. And pay-go basically means what it says. You've got to pay for something as you move it forward. Pay-go was in place in the 1990s. When pay-go was removed, there was a budget surplus in 2000. Pay-go was removed in the early 2000s. And I believe that contributed to where we are today in terms of the spending that goes on the federal level. Your businesses and your families can't run without the thought to the consequences of building up that debt, and the federal government cannot either. Pay-go, as I said, was in effect, and we have now, in the 90s, and we have now passed statutory pay-go legislation through the House and are waiting for the Senate to address that piece of legislation. Once we've reinstated pay-go, we need to completely change the way we look at spending within Washington. That's why I'm the co-sponsor of the SAFE Commission Act, which stands for Securing America's Future Economy. It's a BRAC-style commission that will look at examining our spending and revenue. And if you don't remember what the BRAC commission was about, they wanted to close certain military bases around the country to bring efficiency to the defense agency. And it was a political hot potato. If there is a military base, there is a Congress member, 2 senators in that district who are going to fight hard to keep that base. So they brought up the BRAC commission, and they were able then to move that process forward. And so that is really what the hope is of the SAFE Commission, is that we can examine our spending and our revenue and enact a forward-thinking policy to take our country out of the red and put us into the black and move it forward for our children and grandchildren's future. As I've done in the last 12 months, I'm going to continue to advocate for this region, for the business and the industries here, our communities, businesses and industries, the manufacturers, the technology leaders, the retail and commercial services, the healthcare providers, tourism, all are very vital to our future. A diversified local economy has the strength and the resilience to help us sustain the natural ebbs and flows of the broader world economy. In the coming year, I believe we're going to see new opportunities in the Erie area. Working with my colleagues, we're able to secure major funding for Amtrak expansion, which gives the General Electric Company the opportunity to bid for 54 new energy-efficient passenger locomotives. They have to competitively bid for this, but it gives them the opportunity and the chance to keep those employees who are currently working there busy until the global economic recession begins to improve. The Kansas Cancer Foundation project has the potential to make our city a center of new medical technology and offers hope to cancer victims everywhere. As is mentioned, we secured $700,000 for that project, and I'm very proud of that. I had talked to John Kansas when I was running for office, and I told him then that if I became his member of Congress, I would fight hard for funding for that project, and I'm very proud that we were able to get funding for that project back to this area. We've secured, as was said, $3 million for top-line defense project at Lord Corporation. And there are other promising defense projects my office is working to assist. It's one way that some of our businesses are diversifying. There is work in the defense field right now. So we are trying to make sure that our companies are able to be there and help if possible. One of Erie's greatest strengths is our manufacturing base. And with these projects, we are helping it to grow. Bayfront development, rail expansion are major opportunities for growth in this area. And with local leaders here, we're working to identify new avenues for growth that can find assistance within the federal government. This is not the first time in our nation's history that we've battled an economic turndown, and as before, we will use our resources and our ingenuity to move our country forward. One thing I have not talked about yet is health care. In case no one's heard, we've been working on health care in Washington. As you know, the bill has now passed the House, the bill has passed the Senate. And when I return to Washington on Monday, we will go right back into that health care debate. And my prediction will be that we will find some compromise to move forward for a vote in the House and the Senate this month. There are some major pieces to still work out, but we will probably have a vote some point this month, and I believe the time is now. When we look at the past, we've been talking about health care reform for a very, very, very long time. It's estimated that if we had done reform during either the Nixon or the Carter administration, when they proposed health care reform, our country today would be saving over $1 trillion a year. Economically, we cannot afford not to do health care reform. But even more so than that, it's a human story. And when people talk to me about this health care issue, and a lot of people have concerns, and I think a lot of those concerns come from not really truly understanding what we're trying to do. The legislation's not perfect. Everyone in Congress would probably want it to be a little bit different than what it is. But there are people out here in our region suffering, and the people of the 3rd District will benefit greatly. For one thing, it will probably save 900 individuals in the 3rd District of Pennsylvania from going bankrupt. They go bankrupt because their genetic makeup may have caused them to have childhood diabetes, or may have caused them to get cancer. And when they don't have health care coverage, they can't afford the health care that they need. So I always try to bring that in because I think it is a human story, and as we look at all the numbers and the figures and the different systems set up, it is a human story in the end. I don't believe we can afford to return to the policies of yesterday, the ones that brought us down such a hard road where we are today. Instead, I think we need to look to the future. And what is that future? Investing in our people, in our businesses, and education with an eye to the future. And I mentioned education here because I think that is really the key to a strong economy. And we need to make sure our students are ready for that next technology, for that next invention, to be entrepreneurs, to be the inventors. As your member of Congress, I share your goals of strengthening our economy, strengthening our small businesses, our manufacturers, and all of our local industries. Helping those who are struggling find immediate relief through this recession is also important. And investing in our country's future is the most important thing. When I go back to Washington 1 week from today, in addition to finishing health reform, we'll be focusing on job creation opportunities and on debt reduction. I believe that by working together, we can return to the days of growth, opportunity, and prosperity here in the Erie region and throughout this country. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of you today.